Or the Fireside.
Hi, hello everyone. Uh, Welcome. My name is Regina Liang, and the VAFF Industry Program Director. And welcome, and for joining us virtually and to celebrate Asian Heritage Month with us today. We begin by acknowledging the land that we are broadcasting at is the unceded territory of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nation, and this is our 10th annual Industry Insight series. And we're addressing the concept with celebrate representation, opportunity, and evolution. And with this discussion today is tied into our theme for this year, representation in film and TV. So we are very excited today that we will be speaking with director Domee and production designer Rona from Disney Pixar's from Turning Red. So, and we'll have our moderator coming up pretty soon to introduce our guest presenter. So, so this program is sponsored by Canada Media Fund. And then our other sponsors, including Canadian Media Production Producer Association, CMPA, and Director Guild of Canada BC, and other community supporter that we have Exploration and Incubation, Heritage One Society, Culture Blood, Crazy Eggs, and Scooping It Out. So now I would like to introduce our moderator today, Sadava, and he is our Director of Programming and Feature.
Hey, folks, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm really excited to have this fireside chat with two amazing storytellers, although there's no fire, it's like online. But first up, Domee Shi. Domee Shi began as a story intern at Pixar Animation Studios in June 2011 and was soon hired as a story artist on the Academy Award winning feature film Inside Out. Since then, she has worked on feature films The Good Dinosaurs, Incredibles 2, and the Academy Award winning Toy Story 4. Wow. In 2015, she began pitching ideas for short films and soon was greenlit to write and direct Bao, which won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. In her role as creative VP, she is involved in key creative decision making at the studio and consults on films in both development and production. She is currently making a feature film directorial debut on Turning Red, which is set to release on March 11, 2022, which is already passed. And if you have not seen Turning Red, I would recommend it for you folks to see it because it's fantastic. It made me cry, it made me laugh, it made me jump for joy. It was fantastic. She graduated from the animation program at Sheridan College, where she fueled by love for anime, manga, Disney, and Asian cinema influences that can be seen in her work to this day. She was born in Chongqing, China, I would pronounce that right, and resided in Toronto, Canada most of her life. She currently lives in Oakland, California, and notes that her love for animation is only rivaled by her love for cats. We're gonna get into that in a bit. Next up, we're joined up by also Rona Liu, the production designer. Rona Liu began at Pixar Animation Studios in June 2011 as a sketch and shading artist in the art department, responsible for designing the colors and textures that go on characters, environments, and props in a film. Since joining the studio, Liu has worked on The Good Dinosaur and Finding Dory. She was the production designer for the short film Bao, which also won, obviously, it's the same film that Domee Shi was in, which won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short. Liu is currently the production designer for Pixar's upcoming feature, Turning Red, which is already in theaters, which is already out. It's on Disney Plus. Again, I'm going to repeat, it's a fantastic film. You should go and see it. Fantastic. Ever since she was a young girl, Liu has always been a fan of Disney films and art, and remembers fondly pausing her copy of The Little Mermaid to draw her favorite character, Ariel. Pursuing her passions after graduating from Los Gatos High School, Liu attended the Art Center of College of Design and first got a job in the Disney Consumer Products as a character intern before joining Pixar. Born in China, Liu moved to Bay Area at the age of 10. and currently lives in Moraga, California, where she happily cares for three pet chickens. Sorry, chicken. All right, let's start with cats and chickens. Why cats? Why chickens?
Why cats? Why chickens?
Because they're so cute.
They're so cute. I also think both of us, our personalities are kind of like cats. You know how there's like dog people and cat people in the world. I think both of us are more like fussy and neurotic,
temperamental,
but also loving once you get to know us. So
loyal.
Yes, loyal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have names for your chickens, Rona?
I do. So we have 3 chickens currently. There's Pancake, there's Leia, and there's Muffin. Yeah. Nice. We also have 3 cats too. So wow. That's why we're the cat people.
Yeah. We're the crazy cat ladies.
Nice. So let's start at the beginning. How did your film journey started, and how was there any influence of particular films or someone who influenced you to make you decide to pursue storytelling?
I think for me, I just fell in love with animation. I think that was the very first VHS my immigrant parents bought when we first moved to Canada was Disney's Aladdin. And I just remember I remember just watching that tape on repeat, just being so amazed by the colors and by and the animation and how like weirdly hot Aladdin was. And I wanted to do that. And I've always loved drawing in my sketchbook. Like I would just like pause the film and like try to copy what was on screen. And it was always just kind of my way of making friends, of connecting with people. Like I was always kind of shy, but as soon as I showed them a drawing, like I instantly like could tell like I hooked them, and I just wanted to keep replicating that feeling. So that's kind of how I got into animation.
Nice. Rona?
For me, the first film that I saw in theaters, the animated film, was The Lion King, and I actually saw it in China, but I just remember like my heart was being torn out of me when Mufasa died, and then when I came to the U.S., it was like Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, and actually a lot of Sailor Moon. I used to rush home after elementary school, and then it was like 3:30, and then I would videotape Sailor Moon and then watch it on repeat and then pause to draw. And I think I fell in love with just how beautiful animation could be, and I just really wanted a life where like I could draw and paint for a living.
Nice. So both of you have worked together on a lot of projects. Do you remember how you met and what made you click, and what was it that you're like, oh yeah, Rona, was it the cats and chickens or?
That
was pre-dating.
Oh right.
Can I tell them my side of the story?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You go first.
Please do. We want the juice.
Yeah, this story predates actually us meeting. It was when I was in college.
Right.
You were in Canada.
Yeah.
I was in LA, and it was probably like 12 or 2 a.m. in the morning. We were a bunch of my friends and I were preparing finals, and somebody IMs me and was like, "Hey, check out this girl's like, was it like a 12-second, 24-second film or something?"
It was like a 24-hour film festival that they held at Sheridan, and we were supposed to make a short film in 24 hours.
Yeah, but it was like this gyrating hamster dancing to a K-pop song, and its eyes and like flashing like disco lights.
I want to see that.
It's still on YouTube. I think they also play it in the making of documentary for Turning Red on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That was how you first knew of me.
Yeah, and then we were like, oh my god, this girl is gonna become a director one day. She's gonna make something really quirky and fun. Oh man, she's the future. And then I wish I saved that that chat. Yeah. But then when we both started at Pixar, I think you were like, it was like the first week, and you were like, hey, you like everybody, do you guys want to get dinner and be friends and everything? And you're like, hi, my name is Domee Shi. And I was like, the Domee Shi.
I was surprised because that video only got like 5,000 views. That was like it was like the most obscure thing, but I thought that was so funny that Rona knew me through this silly little video that I made. That was mainly like it was just a silly dancing video that I made as like a present for my friends. That I used this kind of film festival as an excuse to work on. But that's the thing. It's like that kind of relates back to when I was a kid and just showing people my sketchbook and my drawings. It's like you just put yourself out there and all the weirdos and like-minded people will come flock to you. So yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That's a good origin story.
That is a good origin story. Yeah, I remember. So when I was first coming up with Bao, it was just like a short film, like a side project I was doing while my day job was story artist on Inside Out, and I was totally prepared to kind of just like make this on my own. And Pixar is just this great place in that like so many artists are just kind of gathered under one roof, and everyone's always kind of curious and hungry to, try working on personal projects. So I kind of reached out to Rona because like we'd met before. I was like, wow, she can really paint. And I feel like she has what I kind of lack, which is like an eye for like color and design. And my strengths are just like drawing and just like gesture and gags. But I really wanted to work with an artist who had like who could help me find like a vision. And I think both of us like came up around the same time. We were both kind of like hungry to kind of do something creative on our own. So it was just like good timing that both of us just happened to have like free time. We like went on like our own little field trips to Chinatown to like buy a bunch of dumplings and photograph them and probe them, study them. We were like already working on the short way before it became like an official Pixar project. So yeah, it's kind of just like we just kind of found each other through like similar interests and just timing and that video that I posted in college through K-pop. It was actually just K-pop that united us.
So both of you are very, very successful. Like you're working with Pixar, you have made an Oscar-winning film. Now, coming up, what were some of the challenges personally for both of you? I mean, individually, what were some of the things you had to overcome? Maybe it was physical, maybe it was something internal that, if you would like to share.
Yeah, definitely, confidence and just being comfortable talking in a room full of people. Pitching was definitely not my strength. Like I remember when I was doing the Pixar story internship, it's like this 3-month summer boot camp where you get an assignment on a Monday and then you pitch to a room full of like your peers, other story artists, supervisors. Sometimes a director will like sit in and they like, tear apart your assignment and stuff, but you're like standing in front of the whole room with like a stick and it's like old school style, like you're like pitching and making all the sound effects and everything. Like that was terrifying to me. And that was always the feedback that I get, like work on your pitch. That's your like weakest area. Because I was always shy growing up. Like in middle school, I developed a stutter, and it was just like speaking was just something that I was totally terrified by.
The opposite of Mei.
I know, right? I mean, when it came to like anime and like certain things, I was like, yes, like I'm very confident. But like, when it came to like talking to boys or just a room full of strangers, no. And it was just confidence and just getting comfortable speaking in those rooms. And the way I got over it was just with practice and with like I think I mentally made this promise to myself, like, okay, like I'm gonna keep trying to challenge myself, keep trying to grow, and I will purposely throw myself into like the fire, into the most uncomfortable positions to like try to get better. So like even when I was just coming up like as a story artist, sometimes like festivals or conventions will ask if I want to do a talk, and I'll say yes. Like I'll just reply yes. I just like accepted every talking and speaking engagement and an invitation I'd get, because I'm like, this is the only way to get better at public speaking, is just to like dive in and do it. And I remember like the biggest talk that I gave was at SIGGRAPH Bogota in Colombia, in the country of Colombia.
Okay.
And that was to like a crowd of over 2,000 people. And at the time, like that was like the biggest crowd I've ever talked to. And it's also like in a foreign country. So they like put an earpiece in your ear where like a translator is translating as you're talking. But I knew if I could like conquer that mountain, that public speaking mountain, that everything else would be like much easier. So yeah, I think it was just constantly like identifying like moments and like times when I feel uncomfortable or not confident, or like what my weaknesses were, and just run towards your greatest fears instead of trying to avoid them. Yeah. How about you?
Let's see. Well, first I would have never been able to tell because you're so good at it. Like I see you in like when like swarms of like young teenage girls are like swarming at you. You're just like hi, and then like
yeah, you know, it's practice.
That's true.
It's practice.
Okay, lesson learned. For me, I feel like it's mostly that like inner voice that with every assignment, with every opportunity, it's like the first thing that goes into my head is just like this self-inflicted like you can't do that, or like even if I can, it's like there's someone who could do it better than you,
right?
Yeah. I feel like I feel like it's this like maybe it's our upbringing, maybe it's societal, but mostly it's just definitely self-inflicted at this point. For me, it's like years of therapy. I feel like a lot of you helped me with that, because it's like when you have people that trust you, when you can see my worth and my capabilities that I can't even see, and you give me opportunities. So like awesome people like you, friends like you, and then
a support system.
Yeah, and then lastly, I just feel like you get old enough where you're like, hey, this doesn't feel very good every time I tell myself that, because as you turn 30.
Oh, but you don't look it, girl.
Thank you.
You're not just professional colleagues, like you're good friends.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I mean, you know, we've known each other for over 10 years now at this point.
2011. 2011.
Yeah, and I think like the best way to make films is just to like replicate that feeling of, you know, like hanging out, having fun with your friends. Like if you can feel like that, like if you can get that sense of play, I think that's amazing. And I think like magic happens when you're able to get that chemistry with the crew.
So going to Turning Red without too much spoilers, one of the themes that I noticed is perfection, right? About being perfect, trying to get your mother's approval. Now, how personal was that for both of you?
Oh yeah,
That
super
theme.
personal. Yeah. I mean the whole inspiration for Turning Red came from like my own experience of like being May's age, being 13 and wrestling with being like trying to be my mom's perfect little daughter and this raging hormonal monster that was like fighting with her every day. And I think, you know, I think it's an issue that a lot of like immigrant kids, Asian kids deal with growing up. Just this idea that like, oh my gosh, our parents sacrificed so much to like bring us here that we have to like make sure they're, you know, like all their work is not in vain. So we have to just hit everything 100%. And that was just that was an important theme that I really wanted to explore in this movie, but also just like explore the nuances of that relationship too, because you know, like it's not so black and white. Like I think with May, she genuinely loves her mom and she loves spending time with her. They're kind of like BFFs in the beginning of the movie, but she's growing into a different person than her mom and her, you know, her family. She's like growing up in this Western world. She has these like very awesome, quirky, weird friends. She has Four Town. She's kind of turning into a different person. But she doesn't want to leave behind that closeness with her mom, but she kind of like has to, like we all inevitably have to move away from our families. So it's more of like you really want to explore that struggle and how it's not so black and white, and it's very like hard for a lot of immigrant kids to kind of find that balance. And that, by the end she kind of realized, oh, there is no perfect solution. There is no such thing as perfection. Life is going to be messy. My relationship with my parents is always going to be kind of this like tug of war messiness, but we're still going to love each other even when we're different forms. So yeah.
How about you,
And,
Rona?
yeah, for me, I think earlier on you were just like, Domee, you were like, just tap into your own very own personal story with your own mom, and like you even encouraged me to like look into my old photo albums.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's like
your photos were a huge inspiration
Yeah.
for the opening.
yeah, because there will be these like staged studio photos of my mom and I, and then I'll be like, yeah, and I'll be like,
Oh my God, it's too funny.
and like this like dead dutiful smile of like, yes, I love you, mother, even though probably like I remember the days that those photos were taken, I was like super mad at my mom, but it's like
And when you see them, which I think in the documentary you can see the rage in little Rona's eye. Like she's just like her nostrils are flaring and her like face is. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, and similar to your story, it's kind of like, for me, it was like my mom came from a culture where it's like you got to keep it all in. You got to keep like, your emotions in. If you're angry, put on a happy face, because you got to be happy for everybody around you. And I feel like even though I immigrated here, now suddenly in my teenage years when I'm feeling really angsty, I'm also in this culture of like, embrace your angst, especially in the early like 2000s. It's like late 90s, early 2000s. I feel like angst was like a thing.
Yeah.
And yes.
Blast that Evanescence.
Yeah.
Blast that Linkin Park. And your mom's like, what is this?
Yeah. My mom, I just remember my parents are like, oh, you're so lucky we got you to the US because your personality would never survive in China. And it's like,
Mom,
Mhm.
brutal.
But yeah,
That's
so
true.
it's like that balancing act. But again, it's like you love your parents, you love them to death, but yeah, the balancing act of like, how do you be still like a daughter that's honoring everything that they've done for you, but still staying true and not completely like destroying who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I really connected to the story that you were telling.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like because of that connection, I just kind of like, yeah, it was just super simple. It's like where to draw inspiration for all of the look and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Plus, both of us were huge anime fans growing up too. So visually, we were really inspired by the TV shows and manga that we grow up reading and watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your favorite animes? What do you watch?
Animes? So many. I mean, definitely, of course, Sailor Moon, as you can tell by the color palette. I really loved Inuyasha in middle school, Cardcaptor, Sakura, Fruits Basket. I feel like Inuyasha, Ranma Half, Fruits Basket, One Piece is what.
One Piece.
Yeah, One Piece. I was obsessed with One Piece in high school. Yeah, and you can kind of like see that when you watch the movie. You can see all those influences in there.
Yeah, like Sailor Moon for the color palette, a lot of One Piece for like all the wide range of expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we really pushed that, and like
the poofing, like the pink poofing cloud was like, it's kind of a device that you see a lot in anime, like that depicts transformation, like Fruits Basket,
or like in Sailor Moon when like the little chibi
Rini or Chibi Moon.
Yeah. What's it, Chibi Moon?
It's
Yeah,
Chibi
when her
Moon.
little like ball turns. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. Yeah. I liked Tenchi Muyo.
Yeah.
I liked. Oh, my first crush was the main guy from Ronin Warriors.
Ronin Warriors? I never heard of that. Is he like a samurai or something?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's my first crush.
Nice.
Oh, let's go to the technical aspects of the film. So, one of the scenes that actually made me laugh. I mean, what I really enjoyed was when the breakfast had a smiley face when
Mm.
she. Wait, I love that, and also like, I love that in the story, you layered it that her becoming a woman is actually layered behind her becoming a panda. And as the
Mm.
audience, I wasn't sure what was going to happen until it was revealed that even her parents knew that she was
Mhm.
going to be a panda. I thought at first her parents didn't know. So I was like,
Right.
oh, that's so smart. That's so smart. So can you talk about that a bit? Like, as the production designer, like, and the screenwriter, I'm your story editor, but there was also two other story editor, Julia Cho, and there was one more person, correct?
Sarah Stryker. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So can you talk about the creation of the story in terms of the layers and all that stuff, and also the production design in the technical aspect? What were some of the challenges in creating that?
So many. Yeah. I feel like ever since the first pitch, like this movie was always pitched as a Chinese Canadian tween goes through magical puberty and transforms into a giant red panda anytime she gets emotional or worked up. Or and I just thought that would be such a fun metaphor, like a girl poofing into this hairy, awkward, smelly red beast.
Mhm,
It's the perfect metaphor for a girl going through puberty, or like any kid going through puberty, because it's like it just feels like the change just happens overnight. Um, and the metaphor for the panda was always like it always started off as puberty, but then you kind of like as you watch the movie, it kind of evolves into a metaphor for change, for
mhm,
messy emotions, for all of the things that our families, society kind of tells us to kind of tamp down and control and to
mhm,
get rid of to be an adult. Um, made ultimately chooses to like keep and embrace and like celebrate in her. Yeah, and I think again, that just came from just that universal experience that we've all had, getting our periods.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, from the production side, I think the panda itself was just such a huge feat. I think everything from like how big
Oh,
it
it's
is, how
yeah,
round it is.
like
mm,
furry.
Fur is just super hard to do in the computer. Like I don't know, I would have never guessed, but like all the clumping, it was like
mm,
super hard for technical because it has to be. It's not just like through the computer and you get what you get, but it's like it's artistically clumped together by hand.
mhm,
Yeah, it's like a hairstylist, but
Yeah.
like a digital hairstylist. They have to go in and literally shape
Mm-hmm.
every kind of
wow,
like tuft.
Yeah. And then
so
she
hard.
loses her cool.
yeah,
She emotes, and then the hair also emotes with her. So then
Right.
you get the stylist coming in and like nudging it a little bit, frame by frame, a little bit.
Yeah, it's like we have to like they have to animate it too. Like
Mhm.
when she gets angry, like a cat, her hair kind of like moves
yeah,
and
yeah.
stands up. That's not all done with a push of a button. That is
Right.
all very complicated
Totally.
algorithms and all kinds of
And
crazy stuff.
and people's RSIs and
Oh, yeah, all that.
Yeah.
But then also there was a lot of unexpected challenges. Like for me, being a first time director, like I didn't know that a lot of the things that are difficult to do on a computer are also related to being a teen girl, like
Mm.
long hair, difficult
Backpacks?
to do. Backpacks are very difficult to do.
Oh wow,
I really had to, and like dangly things like the Tamagotchi on May's
yeah,
backpack, which I was so like happy we ended up like keeping that in the movie, but it was hard to it was a little tough to justify in the
Yeah.
beginning because it like every time like she moves like it dangles, and that
mhm,
the person there to like make that like move and dangle.
Mhm.
Touching,
Mhm.
grabbing, hugging, everything that teens and teen girls do
Mhm.
is like very hard to do on the computer, like in any interaction, like like clothing
Very
grabbing.
costly.
Yeah, it's costly, and like she has 3 friends, and like if you watch the
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
you count how many times they hug. They
Yeah,
hug
yeah.
a lot, and that's like a bunch of sim artists crying because I told them to make the characters hug.
Yeah, they watch the reels and they're like,
I know, they're like, oh gosh. So,
So in talking about the difficulty, so how easy? What did you had to leave out? I mean, you work with Pixar, which is like huge. So was it easy? Did you have lots of resources? Did you had to leave out some stuff because they were like, okay, no, no, this no, or
oh yeah, I mean, this film took like 4 years to make, and the process at Pixar is we like put the film up every couple of months. Like we have a screening every couple of months. For this movie, we had like 8 screenings in total. So that's like us putting up the movie in like storyboard form, in like whatever rough form from start to finish. We like put it up, we get a ton of notes, and then we go back to the drawing board and like rewrite, reboard, rework everything. So we threw out a lot of stuff because there were like probably 8 versions of this movie that we made.
oh wow,
Yeah, because that's kind of the only way to get story right. Like, and Pixar's pretty much the only studio that works this way. It's like they just keep working on story, and they keep fixing and crafting it until they get it right. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the DVD, the Turning Red DVD, now out on Blu-ray.
I saw it at Best Buy
Yeah,
last weekend.
at Best Buy, or
could be like advertising coming up.
yes, Walmart, all that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of deleted scenes that we added. And one that was hard to cut was the original opening of the movie, which was fully animated too by Rob Denovan. Shout out to him because he worked on
Hey
that.
Rob,
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you,
man.
Rob.
Yeah, he worked on it for like months, but it was always in the movie. Like for every version of the movie, this opening was there, where like you see Ming and like little May go to like a Miracle Mart like photo center, and like you see her mom like bring her own props and like gussy everything up and like boss around the cameraman to like take a proper photo of her. And her daughter, and it was always kind of used to establish right away this dynamic between May and her mother, that like Ming is the boss, is this powerful, godly woman, and her daughter May like looks up to her, May reveres her, and sees her as like her hero, her her everything. But then when like it was after the audience preview, we were kind of looking at Act 1 again, and we were like realizing that, man, it's just taking too long to get to the panda. It's taking too long to get to, like your movie. And we realized that the movie was starting like a couple of times. Like we had that opening, but then we also go into like the photos, and then we go into like May talking about herself as she's walking down the street. So it was just taking a while, and we just tried a version like we just as an experiment took out that opening and played it just to see if it would play, and it did, and we were like, that's a sign, like that means that we don't need it in the movie. Also, like by removing it kind of like it made the mom a little bit more mysterious. Like it kind of it like by holding back on who the mom is until May runs home and she like enters the temple and you see her mom turn around. Like it makes that more of a dramatic entrance to the mom, and you kind of reveal the mom's kind of obsessiveness and overprotectiveness like bit by bit. Like you're kind of leading your audience with more crumbs versus like here. Very beginning,
don't show everything. For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Rona?
Yeah, I mean, we had to really, like, after every screening, we had to go back to you.
Yeah.
And like all of the supervisors kind of got together, listed all the things that were hard that they saw in the storyboards. So for example, things like when in the nightmare, when all of the pandas are coming down in May's nightmare from the roof of the temple, we were like, Domee, we can't possibly have that many pandas. So what if we cover it with heavy fog? And it's like, and then you're only seeing silhouettes. So like, there's no fur. It's just the same panda repeated a bunch of times, and it's like that. Or it's like, oh hey, we can't show the two girls like actually touching each other, so can we just get them a little bit off frame so that like you don't actually see all the interactions, but you cut to it or something, and things like that.
Yeah.
And
what about like after audience preview when we like redesigned Mingzilla?
oh yeah, wait, can we talk?
Yeah, I mean it's been out for a while.
Okay. Yeah. It just, all of that just becomes like, can we take this head that we've already modeled, and then can we take this body and not remodel a new one, but just shift it a little bit? There's just so much, like, I wouldn't say penny pinching, but just
problem
solving, and a lot of like awareness for the budget, awareness for the time, and trying to be really efficient with our our process.
Yeah. A fun thing that I thought was fun was like finding things from the backlot, from the Pixar backlot that was from other movies to like use
like the cat.
Like the cat. Oh yeah,
the fat temple cat.
Yes, the fat
temple.
From Luca. Yeah, they're from Luca. We took him from Luca.
Yeah, made the fur a little bit longer and then gave him different colorations.
Yeah. Wait, wasn't there like a unicorn from Onward that we also used?
A unicorn from Onward. Oh, I think at least the model of it, of Robert's mermaid tail, was from also Onward.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I didn't know that. And I know that the blue jay that you see at the end of the movie, that was from Doug Days, which is a Disney Plus series. Yeah,
so many things.
Yeah, but it's about like, it's about working smart and just trying to like utilize all the resources that we have and like putting the time and money into the places that we thought were most important. Yeah.
I really enjoyed how you introduced the dad character with cooking. And it wasn't like you didn't reveal him, you revealed what he was cooking. So it was like, actually watching that scene made me hungry. I was like, oh, I want to eat now.
I know.
But sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Can we talk a bit more of the dad character? Because he was a bit more mellow. But then at the end, towards the end, he when he told Mei about what her mom chose, that I was like, wow, that's deep.
Yeah. Jin is a deep character. He's like the soft but stoic like rock of the family. He's kind of like the quiet hero of the movie. Thought he'd be like a fun contrast to his wife, to Ming. Like she's like strong and bold and confident and kind of crazy, and he's kind of more like chill and subdued, and he shows his love through his actions, through food, kind of like my parents and my dad, who's a really good cook. We thought the coolest way to introduce him was through his love for his family, which translated to these epic meals that he'd make for them every night. Also, I think it's just cool to like celebrate dads like who can cook on the screen. A lot of Chinese dads can cook really well, so it was my shout out to them. But I also loved how like when we came to like Rona and her team with this idea, like we really want to highlight all the amazing food that her dad cooks, that the family eats, and then like you want to talk about all the research that went into it.
Yeah, like for all the food, because like this was like a deep dive into Toronto Chinatown history of like, it wasn't just Chinese, it was Taishanese people that first immigrated there. So they actually spoke Cantonese or more close version to Cantonese. And they had very specific types of food that they would cook. And so for us, it was like abalone and snow peas and like steamed fish and
like eel fried rice.
Yeah, eel fried rice,
Yeah.
but then also mixing that in a little bit with like maybe they don't go all out all the time. So right before the ritual, they go all out. But for Jin, it's like there are also some just like fried veggies and then
like simpler home cooked meals, right?
Yeah, and like there's that, and then also to what you were saying about Jin being kind of the rock of the household. Ming is this bright emerald green, Mei is this fiery red, and then you have Jin who's like all beige. And so even in terms of color, it really does contrast. And then he sits in the background and he's this warm neutral. He's so warm.
That scene when he grabbed the Timbit when I was like laughing. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I love that. I love giving a shout out to Timmy's. It's great.
So both of you, a lot of people, probably myself included, look at you and be like, wow, these are successful people. They're working for Pixar. They're creating what they want. Do you feel that you are successful? If yes, why? If no, why not? Elaborate, please.
Oh, yeah. I mean, success is so hard to define. I think if it's just like, if you're doing what you love, that's successful to me. And my goal is always like, I just want to be able to draw for a living, whatever that meant. And I kind of just followed that passion, and that I ended up here. But I feel like I would also, I would be happy in any position or job as long as I could do what I loved and work with people who are like equally as passionate about the thing that I care about.
I feel
that's success, I think, to me.
Yeah, definitely feel very fortunate to be able to do what we do, to be able to like work with friends, work with good friends, to be able to work on, I feel like Turning Red is just such a special project, very special tone, very different. And like even yesterday, I was like cleaning up cat litter and feeling like, oh wow, I can't believe I got to work on it. This was like truly groundbreaking. Things like that, I definitely feel very grateful. At the same time, also like I also want to do more. I also want to do like we did this. This was great.
But what's next?
I think that hunger for like to learn more, to accomplish more is always there. Yeah.
What was I gonna ask? Oh yeah. So has your mothers, your parents, I'm sure they have all seen Turning Red.
Oh yeah.
What's their reaction to that? Oh, the juice.
No, I mean they of course they are so proud of me, and they love the movie, and they've now watched it so many times. My dad wears his emotions more on his sleeve, and I remember like we invited both of them to the Toronto premiere, and my dad was like he shed a tear or two at the screening, but then my mom was like, that's very good. And then the next day she was like, I just needed like a whole night to process it. It was really good, but like there was so many things that I wanted to think about. And then like she like ended it with like, was I a good mother? And I was like, yes, you were a good mother. Otherwise I wouldn't be here, without your parenting and your love and your protectiveness. I wouldn't have all of the ideas and the gags and all that fun stuff to put in the movie. They're very proud of me, of course. Yeah. Your parents.
My dad shows it through like what other people have said. He doesn't just, I mean, he said once like he was like very good, but I can see that his pride comes from like texting me like a screenshot of what someone else said. That was really good.
Right.
How they loved it. And for my mom, this was we watched it together, and she got up and she was like, very good. And then she just she just like went to bed.
She just went to bed?
Yes.
That's it?
My mom's
No emotion. Yeah, it's good.
in very little words.
Oh, but
yeah.
she felt it.
Yeah, she was like, very good. And then got up
Nice.
and left.
Nice. Well, I think it's better that way. I was worried that it was going to be a whole like emotional thing
Well,
with my parents.
in the documentary, because at the end, of course, Erica puts in that part where I started crying.
Oh,
and
that
then
makes me sad.
I know. And then my dad
That's good.
texted me and he was like, "Oh, I watched the documentary too." And I was like, "Oh, haha, what did you think?" And he said, "I saw a tear."
I saw a tear.
Wow, one tear. One piece.
Oh, Asian parents. Asian parents. This is why we make movies
Mhm.
Yeah.
about
Materials.
them.
Yeah.
This is why we make movies about them
Mhm.
instead of talk to them.
What advice would you have for someone who's just starting out and a filmmaker or an animator or someone who just got off school? What advice would you give your younger self that maybe you know now you didn't know before?
Oh, let's see. Just keep practicing your craft. But don't just focus on the craft. Also focus on like, life experiences. Like focus on, like getting ideas, and then focus on how to execute those ideas in an interesting and like a clear and fun and entertaining way. I think it's like it's a two-parter. I think when I was coming up, when I went to animation school, I was focused a lot on the craft part. Like I was so, I copied anatomy books. I went to life drawing class like almost every single night. I was all about like trying to be the best draftsman, but I wasn't, living life or going to parties or dating. Or any of that stuff that would translate into interesting stories or work or ideas that I would put in my drawing. So I think just like make sure you nurture those two sides, like getting ideas and by exposing yourself to new experiences, but also honing your craft and just getting good at being able to express these ideas in an effective way. So
Let's see. I probably this like weird balance of being very critical of your own work, like really looking at your own work and seeing how you could grow, how you could always be better. But at the same time, being just trusting in your own instincts of what inspires yourself, what the type of stuff that you like, and kind of not listening to what every studio or what every teacher says that your work should be. So it's this like weird balance of trusting yourself, but also being very critical of yourself. So I feel like there's that. But then in the career side, I feel like that reminding yourself that careers don't have to be linear. So many people at Pixar, some people started out as interns, some people got in a lot later, some people had like lives before animation that they were like they weren't even artists before. And it doesn't have to look one way. And everybody has very different lives and career paths.
All right. When it comes to representation, were there any particular difficulties in getting a film like Turning Red greenlit?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I can't speak for other studios, but Pixar has always, I think ever since Pixar started, they've always kind of been hungry for different kinds of stories from different kinds of storytellers. Like the first Toy Story, when it came out, like the trend at the time was like animated princess musicals, and they came out with this like buddy comedy that in like a medium that no one's ever seen before. So I think that like that spirit of like wanting to tell different kinds of stories is kind of baked into the studio, and I felt that early on, like when I first joined the studio. I never felt like the Chineseness of the movie was ever like something that would get in the way. Although I did like as we were working on it, there were like notes that would come up sometimes that like I'd have to defend, or it would be like just like cultural things, like for example the note of Ming being too intense, like being too like mean. And that would come from both sides. Like it would come from, I think Asian people who are worried that the mom would be a tiger mom, like a stereotype, but also would come from like non-Asian execs or audience members who are like, why is the mom so like crazy and mean? So it was like trying to like navigate and like balance out her character just to make sure she wasn't a stereotype, but also that she felt true to a lot of our experiences with our Asian moms as well. And I think the way that we were able to navigate that was, I mean, for me, I just made sure that I wasn't the only Asian person on the crew, on the crew leadership. Like, I think that was why it was so important to like work with a production designer like Rona, Julia Cho, who was our writer. She's Korean American. Working with Sandra Oh, who is the voice of Ming, was great too, because like she really brought like a warmth and like a dimension to the character of the mom. And even when you see the mom acting out and kind of being obsessive or crazy, it always came from a place of love and wanting what was best for her daughter. And that's what prevented the mom character from going into stereotype. But yeah, like I think it, like there were times when I had to explain like, yeah, like why the parents don't say I love you to Mei, because in Chinese culture you show love through action and not words. And even though like we'd get a note of like, but it still feels like the mom should say something at the end, and we were like, we know that, but we're trying to figure out what she could say that was kind of like that, but not exactly the words I love you. And then like fun small questions to field, like, oh, like why is there toilet paper on the coffee table? Like little cultural details like that.
This is a good question from Voodoo Lin, probably Lin. Was it always the red panda, or were there ever other animals or ideas before the metaphor of furry red panda came about?
I think it was almost always the red panda. It was always a red panda. Although I recently found some. Well, yes, it was always a red panda, but there were other. Yeah. But then I was also exploring like other animals along with the red panda.
I didn't know that.
Like I like just found like old sketches. It was like a guardian lion in there as well. I don't think I ever showed you.
No, I don't think so.
But I was exploring other animals with the red panda. But yes, it was always a girl transforming into a red panda. She may or may not have like met other kids who could transform into other animals too. But then that felt like it was moving away from the metaphor too much. So we just focused it on red pandas.
Yeah. And I feel like it was such a, especially when we started doing research on the red panda, it was just such a beautiful, perfect fit, because they're nocturnal, they're kind of recluse.
Yeah, lazy.
They like only eat eucalyptus, or was it?
Yeah. Oh no, like bamboo.
Bamboo.
Yeah.
Even though
it's like bad for them.
Yeah. Even though their digestive system kind of rejects it.
Yeah.
So it's like junk food.
Yeah. It's like a teenager eating junk food. Yeah. There are just a lot of similarities between red pandas and teenagers that we just felt were perfect for the story.
This is a question from Susan Hansen, who's the festival director for VAFF. What advice do you have for anyone who's interested in getting into producing animation, especially female Asians in North America?
Producing. Oh, I wish Lindsay was here. I would say just put yourself out there and like help volunteer on short films, on projects that people want to get off their ground. I know creative people are always looking for a producer or like someone to kind of help them organize and execute this like crazy idea that they have. They like it's so valuable to have someone with that like left brain to kind of like plan out like a schedule and charts and like coordinate and find all the appropriate artists animators to like work on the project. Yeah, I think like just start looking for collaborators, start looking to see if there's any projects that need, PAs, assistants. Just get yourself familiar with that creative process and talking to and interacting with artists. They're weird at first, but you can track them.
But they're cats. They're like
cats. Exactly. Like you just gotta like acclimate yourself to them and like pet them a little bit, offer them some kibble and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly.
And a follow-up question to that by Fluff Knight. You have advice for writing for animation. Is artistic talent needed?
Ooh, not necessarily. No, not necessarily. Writing for animation, I mean, it's just writing
good stories
in general. Yeah, a good story is a good story. Like animation is a medium, not a genre. I will say that I think the best animation scripts are the ones that fully utilize the medium of animation. They're not like I feel like they like it's not too like talky. Like I like scripts that aren't too talky. And I feel like there's some scripts that are very like talking heads, like in a room, and and that you can like you read and you're like, yeah, this could be shot live action with real actors. Like think about why should this be animation? Like really like think about the medium, and it's not just like I got to do a talking animal. Like to really think about like the visual aspect of the story and how animation can like really help bring that story to life that like live action couldn't. But I guess these days the line is blurred because like so much live action has like CG animation anyway. But
at that point, is it also animation?
I know at that point it's animation. It is animation. But yeah, just thinking about stories more visually, I think.
Was there a same question by Fluff Knight? Was there any pushback to having Toronto to be the backdrop?
Oh, no. I think that was part of the charm. Like when I pitched it, that it would take place in Toronto. I mean, my argument for it was like, this is semi-autobiographical. I grew up in Toronto, but also like when was the last movie that that you saw that took place in Toronto, Canada? That's like like that a big Hollywood studio has made, and I think it added to the quirkiness and the specificity of the movie to have it take place in Canada, in Toronto, Canada.
All right, we got a minute left. So first of all, let's say thank you so much for all your wisdom, all your sharing of your beautiful story. Any last words you would like to share with the audience, Domee and Rona?
Keep drawing, keep writing, you guys. Just keep making stuff and share it, and like the freaks will come and you will collect them and you will make something cool together. So yeah, just keep doing. Sorry.
No. I was gonna. You said something the last time we were in a talk together where you were like just encouraging people to share.
Oh
stuff
yeah,
and, like sharing it with your friends, sharing it, and like getting other people
build
excited.
A community. Yeah, build a community around the thing that you want to do.
Yeah. It's so easy to be like, oh, this isn't good enough,
right? Or, like not show anybody at all, but that's the first step.
Well, thank you very much. You can catch Turning Red at Disney Plus and at DVDs, right? It's now for sale on DVDs.
DVD and Blu-ray.
All right. Wow, so great. Oh, wow. I think you guys, your friendship, so it here to the audience, loving it personally. That's great. And thank you so much again, Domee and Rona. It's nice to see you again. And thank you, Sadafa. And thank you, everyone, to join us this evening, and then also to celebrate Asian Heritage Month. We got like few more activities under VAFF. Like coming up next Thursday, we have this concert called Here's from Eliminate Hate, and it's at next Thursday at D6. So check out on our website at vaff.org and more informations. And then I think that's it for the evening. And then we'll see you guys again. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
see you next time. Thanks,
See you next
guys.
time.
Bye.
Thank you.